Monsters appeared in this world thanks to the presence of magic, but that also brought powerful heroes tasked with fighting these creatures. Our protagonist is in charge of leading the deadliest squad of hunters in existence, and every member of his team possesses massive attributes, truly massive. But they ended up being betrayed by a false companion who serves a cursed god, and now in the company of the Demon King, Bei must take revenge. Thanks to the existence of magic, many demons and their lairs have appeared around the world. Because of this, people also awaken with special powers. Our protagonist group is the most powerful squad of awakened individuals, the Legion of God. His name is Bai Yi, and this is already his 10th year leading this team. His mission is to cooperate with the Supreme Authority, the one who calls himself God, and eradicate the demons. As soon as the operation begins, the squad starts attacking. Bao Le belongs to the assassin class and uses electricity. She is deadly. Blessed with incredible stats, this is already the 100th demon lair they've destroyed. Hang Xiaolin is the mage of the group capable of using ice magic. He's at level L, the highest rank. After clearing that place, they plan to take a short vacation. Luke Xian is a galactic conductor able to manipulate gravity, increasing his allies' strength and speed. With these blessings, our protagonist became even stronger, brutally striking down his enemies, rising triumphantly afterward, a sword full of holiness with a nuclear element. They successfully defeated an SSS-level Demon King. Han said it ended too quickly again, and Bao Li said she would go find more enemies for him to enjoy. Luke Xian said that mission was dangerous, that's why they were sent. But they also found it too easy, and asked for our protagonist's opinion. The intelligence service reported that the enemy had a special ability. Our boy was quickly interrupted by a hug from the assassin with overwhelming attributes, reminding him they have a short vacation after that. She asked if they'd be alone too. Bai reminded the girl they had teammates to hang out with as well. The childlike mage said our boy doesn't understand women. Right after that, our protagonist felt something was missing. Someone wasn't with them. Luke Xian said the other guy was cleaning up the mess. The assassin said he's always the slowest. And indeed, someone was approaching the group, using his hands to carry out a purification mission. It didn't take long before the ability was activated. Soon after, the mage's head was pierced by something. Everyone was immediately shocked by what had happened. Xiaolin's body had already fallen lifeless to the ground. Bai tried to react right after, but something happened to his body. He couldn't move. The trader said that paralyzing powder had been mixed into their food for the past month, and a divine ability caused several tendrils to grow there. The trader's mission is to end the life of the strongest among them. Those plants can render their victims unconscious and strip their defenses. The protagonist group still doesn't know what's happening. The trader said it is God's will that all be purified. The plants began crushing those bodies, while more tendrils approached. Bai watched all of it, unable to do anything. His eyes were filled with terror. There was nothing his companions could do. Each of their bodies now bore a fatal wound. Bai began to ask why they were being betrayed, since they had done nothing wrong. What kind of god would make such a decision? Because he has no right to do something like this. The trader said his former captain was too naive, disappearing right before his eyes, only to reappear delivering a deadly attack. With his hand through Bai's chest, he said God doesn't need a reason. Bai agonized from the deep wound. He asked if they weren't comrades since they had spent the last 10 years together like a family. Smiling, the trader said his former captain still didn't understand anything. Since the moment they met, God had been orchestrating all of it. They were just pawns on a chessboard. He did it all to earn everyone's trust. It was nothing more than an act. In truth, he was even disgusted by all of it. Finishing his speech, he struck his former captain in the head. With bodies scattered across the floor, the purification was complete. Now the trader could finally have a vacation. Even with such extensive wounds, something seemed to happen to Bai. Energy flowed through his body, causing small spasms. He was taken somewhere else. Someone wanted to make a deal with him. Bai finally realized he was no longer in any place he recognized, and on top of that, he was chained. His eyes can't see anything, until the owner of the voice reveals himself, leaving Bai very surprised. That is Belsig, the enemy he had just faced. The Demon King said he wouldn't be weak enough to truly die. This is his soul space, and the entire country of Ney is his domain and life. But they need to talk about what really matters because he sensed that our protagonist, just like him, is full of hatred. That's why he wants to make a deal. His secret ability is called Life Reversal. He could send the hero to the past, giving him a chance to rewrite the future. Belsig asked if our boy is interested in this offer. In silence, he begins to remember each of his companions, the good moments they had up until that day, ending his reflections with the image of the traitor and what he did to those who were his family. Bai definitely wants to end his life. His rage is so intense it broke the chains. His hatred is also directed toward the so-called God. The Demon King liked this determination very much. He had already expected an answer like that and is going to help. Materializing a heart with his hand, he said that was his welcome gift. Bai wants to know why he was chosen and what the price of this transaction is. But the demon only smiles at him as he hands over the heart. Right after that, someone is begging our boy not to fall asleep. He slowly opens his eyes. The girl in front of him asks him to get up now. He has truly returned to the past and is at the awakened school. Bai realizes what is happening. The regression actually happened. Looking at his own hands, he sees that he isn't wearing his uniform. His body is also much younger before his awakening. The teacher is very irritated with our boy. She shakes her twins furiously in the air, saying that Bai is supposed to change professions that afternoon and all he does is sleep. The poor boy feels intimidated, even more so because he's back at school. This can only be Belphegor's doing. The truth is, he thought it was amazing. He hadn't seen those classmates in over 20 years. Calling for everyone's attention, the teacher said she would now resume the lesson. There are 5 types of elemental powers in the world: light, fire, cloud, center, and star. But each person can only contain one element. So she began to demonstrate to them, saying that she possesses the rarest one, the cloud element. Combined with the user's body, they can be separated into 3 categories: combat, specialist, and utility. This is what gives rise to the various professions. The strongest team in the school is made up of a star mage, a warrior, a bard of the center, and a lightning assassin. The students are already privileged for being there since they're prodigies even among the exceptional. But that day would be very important. There are over 100 awakened professions divided into 4 qualities: dust, firefly, abyss, and heaven's brilliance. And the true importance of that event comes down to this: you can only awaken a profession once in your life, and that afternoon they would discover what it would be. What they achieve will decide their future in the world. Bai misses those days. That was the moment when he awakened. While walking, a boy with glasses fell to the ground. He had been pushed by some jerks who were there, saying the student was trash who needed help to awaken. Stepping on the boy's hand, he said he was too full of himself just because he was about to awaken. In front of someone with a rare quality like him, he would always be useless. The jerk is a star assassin of Class E. Our protagonist immediately remembered him, the one who insulted others. In the past, he was always involved in situations like that. It was as if he was always looking for trouble. At that very moment, the teacher appeared to reprimand the student and asked if he was trying to steal money from a classmate. Pretending to be innocent, he said he had just bumped into the boy with glasses and that it was merely compensation for him and his friends. But he whispered in the teacher's ear that if she weren't pretty, he would have already been expelled from school a long time ago. She ignored the comment and went to help the boy, while the jerk left with his companions. But his path was blocked by our protagonist. Slapping his hand on his shoulder, the jerk asked what he was looking at and immediately pushed him to the side, telling him to get out of the way. The boy with glasses apologized to the teacher, saying he had been careless. Bai knows this teacher is very kind and she helped him a lot when he awakened. Professor Huang truly is wonderful. Someone called out to her, saying it was time for her class to enter the awakening chamber. Guiding her students, she told them they should try to stay lucid for as long as possible. That would help prevent injuries. Awakening in this world occurs in 2 ways. It can happen naturally, like it did with that jerk. Usually, it happens to those with talent and athletic builds, awakening in moments of intense emotion. The other way is through the spatial chamber. It's the materialization of the knowledge of several scientists. Inside it, a person's emotions are intensified, which helps facilitate the individual's awakening. However, each person can only awaken once, and the process is completely random. The first student of the teacher awakened into a blue profession of the firefly level. That is also how one's life is determined. Our protagonist will be the next to enter the chamber. The teacher said he must stay focused. Unlike how he behaves in class, he should pay attention. Very confidently, he said he knows what he's doing. In his past life, he awakened as a central warrior of Class E, a dust-tier profession. Because of that, he was bullied. Everything changed when he reached Class S and awakened a much rarer type of power. Bai believes there must be a core element inside him and is curious to discover what profession he'll reach this time. He begins to feel his emotions heightening, but the awakening system detected an error. 5 elements were found within the boy's body. Bai doesn't know what's happening either, feeling a great heat inside his body. The infinite awakening had begun. Because he possesses 5 elements in his body, he can choose to activate any class of any element as his initial profession. And when he gains enough experience in an element, he can choose a random class from that element or upgrade an existing one. Bai is struggling to believe he can accumulate elements. He can regain the class from his past life or choose something entirely new, even reaching special classes. The system said he can only choose the first class. Others will be random. Little by little, he began to remember the heart the Demon King had given him. That was what he brought back to the past, and also what gave him infinite awakening. All he needs to do now is choose his initial class, and it seems our protagonist knows exactly what to do. Outside, his classmates were saying he was taking too long. Finally, our boy returned outside. The teacher, in the company of her ample attributes, asked what class he had gotten. Bai apologized for disappointing her, saying he got the Central Warrior class, one of the worst in the green quality tier. The teacher felt sorry for him, but said the boy could awaken extraordinary talents and that he shouldn't give up yet. Bai, exercising great self-control, looked into the teacher's eyes and said he didn't need her comfort. She advised him to rest since the awakening process could be tiring. It didn't take long for someone to start laughing mockingly, saying the teacher's positivity was toxic, that effort alone wouldn't change anything. Bai looked at the jerk with hatred in his eyes. The same was done by the teacher, and the jerk said she must already know that. Reality isn't as simple as she believes. And if his quality is dust, it means he's at the bottom of the line. That's how God chooses people, and the weak are only meant to be humiliated. But our protagonist became very angry at that, remembering the existence of that cursed god. The teacher asked what the jerk was doing there, and he said those with dust quality have to sit in the back of the room, and asked if they knew the reason for that. It's merely a reflection of society. The strongest lead progress, receiving more resources and becoming even stronger, while the weak will always remain weak. He asked if the boy believed in that nonsense about hard work, because his future had already been decided with the awakening. He even said that the teacher is at the Firefly level, hence why she's at that school, telling our protagonist to go home so he wouldn't waste government resources. In the middle of that ridiculous speech, our boy grabbed the jerk's drink, and squeezing it, splashed the liquid all over his face. For a few seconds, the jerk was speechless, asking if the boy knew what he had just done. Bai said he didn't like having to listen to that incompetent's voice, but the jerk started to smile. He already knew what he would do. He immediately tried to attack our protagonist. The teacher tried to stop it from happening, but she wouldn't make it in time, and the jerk was about to land a hit on our protagonist. But he would now find out that he's nothing more than a side character in this story. His attack was perfectly blocked by our boy. Seeing what had happened, the jerk started to panic, because the humiliation wasn't over yet. Bai managed to counterattack, pushing the jerk's body far away. The boy did all of that without changing his expression. The jerk's body was thrown far as if he were the worst kind of trash. From the people who were there, no one could say exactly what happened. The power of that strike was intense, making the jerk cough up blood. Realizing what had just occurred, he was terrified. That shouldn't have been possible, and the jerk couldn't even understand what really happened. The other students around also had no idea what was going on. Bai personally chose this class. It comes with a basic light sword, 20 attack points, and 20 evasion points, and he's starting to get used to it. After getting up, the jerk said our boy just got lucky. He said he's from the abyss tier and can't be compared to someone as weak as our protagonist. But the busty teacher, who also has tremendous experience, knows that wasn't luck. Our boy used a high-level exclusive warrior move. The name of that move is Ju. It blocks the damage when receiving a maximum attack, returning the impact to the attacker. All of it happens in a matter of split seconds. The teacher's own master couldn't perfect that move even after 10 years of training. And now her student had done it casually, even without real combat experience. The jerk also drew his sword, asking if our protagonist was ready to find out if God exists. He claimed to have 30 attack points and 30 speed. He said he'd make that piece of trash recognize his rightful place. Bai had his reasons for choosing a supposedly weak class. Judging someone's fate based on their awakening is a huge mistake that will only be understood many years in the future. Now that both of them are armed, students watching asked if they were really going to fight, because using awakened powers to fight at school is forbidden, and there were many witnesses present. The jerk's father is an officer and his uncle the school director, while our protagonist's family is poor. Worried about the situation, the bully boy asked the teacher what they should do because our protagonist might get expelled. But the truth is she was so surprised by what our protagonist had shown. She stepped between them, telling them not to be reckless, as they had just awakened. The jerk told her not to interfere, claiming our protagonist was the one who provoked him. Even if he were to kneel now and beg for forgiveness, nothing would change his mind, because there is a great distance between someone chosen by God and a nobody. And indeed, there is a big difference in bonus attributes between classes. In our protagonist's class, the bonus is 100%. If he were from the Firefly tier, it would be increased to 150%. But in the jerk's case, his bonus is 200% because he's in the abyss tier. The power gap between them is significant, and the teacher believes our protagonist may be in danger, because he is being outclassed by his opponent in every way. The timid boy is trying to understand why our protagonist did what he did, even knowing the jerk is a hateful person. To survive in this society, one must learn to avoid conflict. And when a situation like this happens, you need to humble yourself to keep living. That's how he believes he'll continue surviving. Choosing confrontation is making a foolish choice, because it will only lead to even greater humiliation, and the jerk charged at our boy. The busty teacher grew worried. She and her impressive twins were in a panic. She didn't know if our protagonist would be able to block that attack, as the ability he had used consumed a lot of stamina. To her, the boy didn't stand a chance. But our protagonist never even thought about dodging the attack. He had no reason to. His opponent was ridiculously weak. Using the impulse technique, he was able to pierce through anything in his way. Once again, the jerk couldn't believe what had just happened. When he tried to look at our boy, he felt the pain of the internal damage he had just suffered. He immediately fell to the ground, coughing up blood, showing everyone who the real trash in that fight was. The students watching didn't know what happened. To them, it just looked like the jerk fell to the ground on his own. The scene is funny to many, but the teacher is shocked. She didn't see what happened. A new character appeared at that moment, and she's also intrigued. Our protagonist activated a unique warrior ability, Instant Step, but that wasn't all he did. They're trying to understand how he caused damage to his opponent, who is now down. That girl is the class monitor, Chai Yin, and she knows our protagonist masters the skills of his class with ease. The other students started commenting that the jerk was completely humiliated. Bai earned experience points from that battle and the star element, confirming his personal theory that experience comes from combat. But he only gained a few points this time. He realized he needs to fight monsters immediately. The jerk is trying to get up, threatening our protagonist if he walks away. He immediately grabbed his sword again, ready to end the boy's life. But a commanding voice said that was enough, and the jerk nearly soiled himself. The school principal had appeared and asked if the jerk wasn't tired of embarrassing himself. That figure was his uncle, and he showed up at the right moment. The principal said everyone was tired from today's awakenings and told them to rest and stop watching. He recommended the students tell their families what classes they got, and our protagonist realized he needed to go home. But the principal wasn't going to make that easy, saying that the school rules forbid that kind of thing. Our boy hadn't realized it yet, but since he returned in time, his family is still alive. The principal tried to talk to him, but our boy completely ignored him. He had forgotten that major fact. He simply kept ignoring him and ran off because something more important had to be done. Annoyed, the principal watched as the boy ran off, then said the teacher needed to learn how to discipline her students and that he pretend nothing happened that day. The beautiful woman apologized for what occurred. Shortly after that, the jerk went to the principal's office, saying he'd never lose to that trash. But his uncle didn't believe those words. The principal said he didn't even understand what had happened. In the moment, he tried to attack the boy. He used an advanced technique, instant step. That wasn't the worst part. Before using the ability, he landed a hit right on his weak spot when he was completely defenseless. All of that using only basic skills, and even a principal with 15 years of combat experience isn't as skilled as that boy. The jerk's fight was ridiculous, like a casual player matched against a professional one. Now our protagonist runs desperately toward his family. There's something much more important than revenge to deal with now, and he finally arrived where he should be. The boy still has memories of what happened in his past life. Even short of breath, he's determined to change history. Even if it costs his life, he must stop what's about to happen. It all happened on that same day. A man is watching television, and he seemed to be enjoying the show a lot. In the kitchen, a woman is finishing the dishes. Outside, our boy seems to have returned home. As soon as he entered, the man greeted him, saying he arrived early that day. The woman, who appears to be his mother, looked at him with love in her eyes. Our boy could barely believe his mother was still alive. It truly is a blessing to know she's still breathing. Bai went to the kitchen while the woman continued washing the dishes. Using sign language, she said she had made his favorite dish, spicy noodles. Bai said that today he would like to eat some fish instead. His mother said she would make that tomorrow since the food for today was already prepared. But he seemed determined, insisting he really wanted fish today. Still using sign language, the woman said her son was quite persistent. She got ready to leave the house, and Bai told the deaf woman with her back turned that he would go with her. The man on the couch said she could go alone, and asked if something was wrong with the boy. He got home and still hadn't greeted his own father. After getting up from the couch, he asked if today wasn't the awakening day, because he's eager to hear if his son has good news to share. The man immediately grabbed a bottle of liquor. He also came home early from work to celebrate with his son. He's a Class C electric warrior. Our protagonist lied to him, saying he missed the ceremony and didn't awaken that day. The awakening ended up taking too long, and he still hasn't had the chance to do it. After hearing that information, his father asked why he came home early then, since the neighbor's son awakened at the Firefly tier. Like father, like son, both are useless. And he believes his son should be someone full of potential, saying that when he awakened, he managed not to be trash even without any resources. And now he works hard so his son can awaken something with potential. Filled with curiosity and intimidation, he asked our protagonist what his class was. Even so, the boy wasn't intimidated. He was about to say he hadn't awakened yet, but he got hit on the head by a liquor bottle. The alcoholic started thinking his son might be at the dust tier, and asked if he just pretends to be a leader at school, only to awaken as a useless failure. The protagonist started reflecting on his father, who was also an awakened. He had always been a violent person, unable to control his emotions. So much time had passed, he had almost forgotten what happened that day in his past life. Since our boy awakened a dust tier class, he was frequently beaten by his father. His mother tried to protect him from those punishments, but she ended up getting caught in the beating too. Our boy was still too weak to react. His mother was beaten for a full hour that day, suffering irreversible damage for the rest of her life. All of that happened in front of our protagonist, who couldn't do anything. And now he was being beaten again by the world's best dad. The truth is that even full of potential, our boy still has to wait a little longer. The jerk of a father ordered our protagonist to get up. The world's best dad is Class C and awakened at the mountain tier. Unlike the jerk from school, he has a lot of combat experience. Bai believes he can't defeat his father right now. While he continues to be punished, the protagonist realizes this will only stop once his father gets an answer. That's why he can't allow his mother to stay in the house. At least he managed to get her to go outside. But in the middle of his beating, he heard grocery bags falling to the floor. That's when he realized his mother had come back, and the woman found her son being brutally beaten. Inside the bag was the meal the boy had asked for, and he couldn't understand why his mother had come back so soon. This completely disrupted his plans. Most likely, the poor woman had rushed so her son wouldn't go hungry, but she ended up arriving too early and witnessing that despicable scene. The world's best dad said she had given birth to a completely useless child. Inside a prison, someone is speaking to the first person to evolve within the green class, and there's a condition for that to happen. Then the imprisoned man asked why he achieved that so early. As if the evolution wasn't enough, he also managed to go from a useless class to one of the highest. He wants to know why our protagonist is in that cell. Only the worst criminals end up in that place. Our boy said that man deserved to die because he beat his mother to death. Back to what happened in that house, they had to act. He couldn't allow his mother to be a victim of violence again, but his attack was easily stopped by the world's best dad. An ordinary awakened, even without abilities, is much stronger than a regular person, who would never be able to withstand a punch like that. Our protagonist's mother rushed to him, ready to help. The mute woman tried to say something, but she was mute. Locking the door, the world's best dad said this was all very unfortunate. He said he was overjoyed when he found out his wife was pregnant with a boy, thinking that day would mark the moment to change the family's history. His brothers hadn't been able to have sons, but he had that privilege. And the Bai family depends on him to bring glory to their ancestors. But after what happened there, the world's best dad was furious, because his son awakened into the most useless class, a failure who can't evolve, and all that happened because her genes are worthless. Now the world's best dad is ready to discipline his wife, and the chosen tool is a chair. He's about to hit her with full force. But our protagonist used instant step before the worst could happen, leaving the world's best dad stunned, because his attack was blocked by our protagonist. Now holding his sword, he told the world's best dad not to lay a finger on that woman. Noticing that part of his clothes had been cut, the alcoholic found that quite interesting. The poor mute woman is very worried. She can't communicate with her son right now. And the world's best dad realized that his son had grown up, which is great. Even so, he's still committed to fulfilling the archetype of the world's best father. Properly positioned, our protagonist knows this will take time. He needs to block the first attack, but he was caught off guard by the speed of the world's best dad. Bai tried to block the attack, but his armor was completely destroyed by the world's best dad's ability, who found a gap in his defense. Besides that, there's a huge strength difference between them. The boy felt intense pain in his ribs. If they didn't break, they came very close. He tried to block the other attacks with his hands, and the world's best dad said this is the punishment for a disobedient son. The poor woman watched everything completely helpless, while the alcoholic seemed to be enjoying that punishment session. Bai won't dodge the attacks, because that could make things worse since his mother is behind him. The world's best dad said the boy might be tough, but because he's from such a weak class, he deserves to die. Bai is determined to prevent the tragedy from repeating that day. Still set on being the world's best dad, the alcoholic grabbed a chair with both hands, because he needs to teach our protagonist a lesson. That's when someone started knocking at their door. It distracted the alcoholic, who asked who could be interrupting such a pleasant moment. That's when our protagonist realized that those people had finally arrived. The world's best dad opened the door, furious, demanding to know who was bothering him. Outside stood two men. They looked like police officers, and they asked why the jerk took so long to answer. Revealing himself to be a true coward, the world's best dad got scared, wanting to know what brought the men to his house. The police had received reports their fugitive criminal was spotted in the area and are checking every unit, because that criminal is extremely dangerous. The world's best dad tried to make up some story, but one of the officers saw our protagonist covered in blood. The boy was being cared for by his own mother. At that moment, the officer asked what happened to the boy. The world's best dad said his son was clumsy and had just fallen to the ground, insisting the officer didn't need to worry about it. But our protagonist said that was a lie and that he was being beaten by his father. Hearing those words, the world's best dad thought his son had truly lost his fear of death. 18 minutes earlier, downstairs, our boy informed the inspectors about the presence of a suspicious individual. That's what brought those people to his home. If they catch even a hint of the wanted criminal, they'll have to earn their paychecks. The inspector asked if the allegations were true, and the best dad of the year said his son was training to become a stand-up comedian. But our boy kept going, saying he was hit several times with a chair and also struck with a wine bottle. The boy also knew the laws about the awakened, and those who show violent behavior must be preemptively detained for 15 days. The way he cited the law was so precise that the inspectors realized the kid knew exactly what he was talking about. That only made the best dad of the year even more enraged. To the inspectors, that was enough. It was time to take the best dad of the year for a little trip to a place where the sun rises between bars. Proving the boy was absolutely right, the best dad of the year got extremely aggressive, lunging at our protagonist. But he was quickly restrained by the inspectors, who dragged him out by force. Thanks to that intervention, Bai managed to prevent his mother from getting hurt. He looked back, worried, only to be immediately hugged by his mother, who was so happy she couldn't even speak. Now, with this new opportunity, he had managed to save her, and the best dad of the year would be out of their lives for 15 days. Bai assured his mother that this would be the last time this happened, because now he had time to grow stronger. The boy didn't endure that beating for nothing. He managed to snatch a key that his father carried. He knew exactly what it could open. The best dad of the year was also the best partner in the galaxy, and had betrayed his comrades in the past. That's how he rose to the level he was at. Now our boy went to a small room, and behind it was a safe. a secret guarded with great care by the best dad in the world. In his past life, Bai only discovered this existed after his father boarded the Ice-Kai Express. Using that artifact, he can fight demons. It's the only way to grow stronger. Since dungeons are controlled by followers of God, our boy can only enter those managed by the school. It also knows about the existence of a hidden one, and that's the first place our boy wants to explore. Determined to use his full speed and surpass everyone. Inside the station, the inspectors realized they had responded to a false alarm, and even the captain had been dispatched, only to find the best dad in the world. Still, they remained cautious about the presence of this dangerous offender. His alias is Snow, and if he shows up in that region, it could be a huge problem. One of the inspectors asked if the captain would return to work, but his coworker said that wasn't their concern. Inside the cell, the best dad on the planet begged for mercy. It was his first time beating a child. He promised to be more discreet next time and asked to be released. He heard that the vice captain's wife had just given birth, and the best dad on the planet claimed to have friends who specialized in childcare. Very upset, the inspector asked if that was some kind of bribe. If so, he had just earned himself a ticket to the police massage session. On top of that, the inspector knew the prisoner had been in a guild, which only made the entire situation even more miserable because the best dad in the world was in a truly pathetic state. After being briefly intimidated, the best dad on the planet started to grow worried. And the other officer said that if that bribe attempt got found out, he'd end up making some rough cop very happy. So he advised the best dad in the world to rest up because he'd be transferred to prison the next day. As soon as the inspector left the room, rage began to burn through the body of the best dad in the world. There was only one person to blame for his arrest, and as a true narcissist, the best dad in the world took no responsibility for his actions. It was all of his son's fault for not knowing how to take a beating. While the protagonist's mother sleeps, he thinks he must become stronger in 15 days. He's no longer in his room. The only option now is the demon nests, which can appear anywhere. Blessed with the knowledge of a whole lifetime, he is heading straight toward a demon den that is about to appear. As soon as they emerge, some guild will claim guardianship over them. Despite the dangerous creatures, they are also a source of mineral resources, ideal for improving the skills of the awakened. Since these places are dangerous, it's best to enter them with a full team. In the boy's past life, that demon den remained abandoned for 5 years because no one knew it existed. It was only discovered when the demons invaded the land. An F-level dungeon usually requires 3 hardworking E-level warriors. When the dungeon is E-level, a 5-person team is needed, with at least 3 members matching the dungeon's level. Since this dungeon just appeared, it's probably F-level, which is a manageable difficulty for our boy. He can enter a place like this and make it out alive. Before entering the room, he can feel the heavy air with his hands. Ideally, he'd have others with him, as that increases the chances of surviving, but Bai has no other option. He needs to grow stronger as fast as possible, or the best dad of the year will be very happy. The system notifies him that he has entered the demon den. The danger level is unknown, and he noticed that the entire region is covered in ice, which could be a problem. Walking a little farther into the dungeon, the boy saw something. A large creature was asleep, and around it were several skeletons. Someone had already entered this place. Recognizing the creature, our boy realized it was E-level. Still considering what to do, he started to hear footsteps. Bai immediately took a defensive stance, ready to respond. His eyes were already locked in the direction of the danger. An enraged wolf lunged at our boy, ready to record an ASMR video while feasting on that child. But by the powers granted by the plot, Bai simply vanished in front of the creature. His dodge was swift, but he was still close to the hungry wolf. Trying to bite our protagonist again, the wolf ended up biting his sword instead. Bai swung his blade to repel the creature, which, defying the odds, still had all its teeth intact. With an expression of pure hatred, the wolf made it clear that it wouldn't stop at just one ASMR video. But our protagonist isn't going to let that happen. It's time to record his own highlight reel. With great skill, he sliced the creature's body into 2 pieces, almost like a magic trick, leaving behind the lifeless body of the wolf. That A-level weapon can cut through iron like it's mud. It can't be sold on the market, which is why it was locked in that safe. Sighing deeply, our boy missed the days when he was the most powerful person around. The life of someone who solves everything with violence is far too easy. Checking his stats, he realized he'd have to defeat many creatures to level up, and it looks like the universe should just smile on him. Because several wolves just appeared to avenge what happened to their companion. Bai assumed the scent of battle had drawn all those creatures in. They decided to join forces to attack our boy. Bai is completely surrounded, but judging by the cold expression in his eyes, someone's about to leave this dungeon with a full set of leather clothing. So the video ends here. If you don't want to miss the next part, activate the notification bell, and see you next time on Tob's channel.